Hello, everyone. Hey, I wanted to go ahead and touch bases with you on something that I recently come into knowledge about. So, I come into knowledge to find out. I saw on social media a few things about a gentleman that just got executed. Didn't know much about him. The gentleman's name was, pull that up, Brandon Bernard. Brandon Bernard was executed. Saw a lot of people were trying to get him out. I think at least two Supreme Court justices were trying to get his execution stayed or something to that effect, but to no avail. He was executed federally. So apparently, Donald Trump has been in his Justice Department. Donald Trump has executed, if all things fall through, it'll have been 13 prisoners since July for federal death penalty, executed via the death penalty. Now, the death penalty is currently, or federally, they're able to do it. Biden advises once he becomes president that he will go ahead and do away with the death penalty federally. So basically, what we're having is a mad dash, a rush to execute these people. I don't know how true it is, but it seems that the order of his Justice Department is, let's go ahead and get these people taken out before we can't do it. So they are pushing up executions and scheduling executions to literally just kill people before they can't do it. Let's just be very honest and be very real about it. Now, some of these are questionable. Some of these murders are, or these executions are questionable. Now, one, I haven't looked at all of these, but let's just go ahead. I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to share my screen. And this is actually, I just found this website. It's pretty good. It's called the Marshall. Let me make that bigger. And it's, all right. And I'll put that up here. Okay. So this is the MarshallProject.org. The next to die, watching the death row. So if you notice here, all these states still currently have the death penalty. It appears that Trump has reached out to all the Republican governors and advised that, hey, if you don't do it now, you may not be able to do it later if Biden gets in and wipes away the ability to kill people, to put people to death. So he's telling them to clear themselves out. So Willie B. Smith is scheduled to be executed in 1 month, 30 days, and 8 hours in Alabama. Okay. But we're looking at the federal, even though these people are important as well. Now, not all states have someone on the chopping block. Florida, nobody. Georgia, nobody. Missouri, nobody. Nebraska, nobody. Nevada, nobody. Ohio. There's somebody in Ohio. Elwood Hubbard Jones, executed in 4 months, 8 days, 22. So he might actually survive. So there's 6 people scheduled to die in 2021, but Ohio Governor advised lethal injection is impossible, and there's an unofficial moratorium on it. So he might survive, and the other 6 in Ohio, maybe. Nobody in Oklahoma, nobody in South Carolina, nobody in South Dakota. Someone, Oscar Franklin Smith, Tennessee, 1 month and 23 days. Will he be able to make it? He should be able to make it to Biden, but now this was interesting. Tennessee judge stayed Byron Black's April execution because his attorneys have COVID-19. There is now one execution scheduled in Tennessee in February for Oscar Smith. So Oscar Smith might make it. But wow, the only reason he's not dead now is because of COVID. Think about that. COVID took lives, but COVID also potentially saved lives. He might make it if Biden does what he said he's going to do. Of course, Texas got somebody. Blaine Keith Millum. Texas, Carlos Trevino was withdrawn. Scheduled execution was withdrawn due to COVID. COVID is saving lives out here. Now, it's in Virginia. So let's go back to federal. So federally, Lisa Montgomery is scheduled to be executed in 1 month and 7 hours and 44 days, which is interesting because we have Alfred Bourgeoisie, it was the 17th and last person to be executed this year. 10 of the executions were in federal systems after a 17-year break. 2020 saw the fewest executions in the U.S. since 1991, yet this is going to be the most executions federally by a lame duck president in 100 years. Yesterday, Alfred Bourgeoisie was executed December 11th, 2020, federal prison. Wow. So the Supreme Court has denied Alfred Bourgeoisie's appeal to stop his execution in federal prison. So when they found out, they caught word that Trump was going to try to push these up, executions up before Biden gets in. Of course, the lawyers tried to get some stays till Trump got out, but as you can see, the Supreme Court had denied Alfred's appeal. Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote a dissent opposing the Supreme Court's decision not to intervene in Alfred Bourgeoisie's execution, saying she'd hear his claims that he's too mentally disabled to be executed. I think his story was sentenced to death in 2004 for murdering his 2-year-old daughter. Since then, the legal battle over whether he can be executed has turned to the extent of intellectual disability. So he may just be mental, right? He may just be mental. Bourgeoisie was a long-haul truck driver originally from Louisiana in 2002. A paternity test showed that he was the father of a toddler. Bourgeoisie made arrangements with the girl's mother to take her on his trucking route for a summer. Over the course of the month, Bourgeoisie punched, whipped, burned his daughter, forcing her to sit for hours on a toilet training chair while he was delivering goods along with his wife at the Corpus Christi Naval Air Station. She tipped over the chair and he slammed her head into the truck's window and dashboard. Medical examiner advised the cause of death was the impact of head resulting in devastating brain injury. Yeesh. According to the court records, Bourgeoisie waved off his wife's demands that they take the girl to the hospital and later bragged about killing to a fellow prisoner because the murder took place on a military base, was tried in federal court and sentenced to death in 2004. This case was seen as the most atrocious crime this office has ever seen, something that impacted the Corpus Christi community and other families. At his trial, the bourgeois lawyer, along with a series of doctors, found that he had demonstrated severe deficits in mental functioning throughout his life and scored near the line demarcating intellectual disability on IQ tests. These lawyers criticized his trial defendants for not adequately investigating the issue and presenting it to the jury. Wow. Screwed. As a child, his lawyer wrote, Boozer's problems with comprehension and memory made him a target when he was living with his abusive mother. During a court hearing as part of his appeals, his sister said he would get beat by her mother for the same thing over and over, like he just couldn't learn. Damn. But the series of federal judges decided with prosecutors and expert witnesses find that he's not disabled, especially considering his ability to hold down his trucking job. Bourgeois' lawyer argues that these courts are relying on outdated ways of assessing intellectual disability and also point out he was closely supervised at work and his trucking company had a program with enough support to allow intellectually disabled person to accomplish required tasks. Interesting. So this guy went mental, killed his 2-year-old daughter that he found out was his. So it sounds like he was married with a wife, found out through a DNA test that he had a daughter, started working things out with the mom, said, you can come trucking with me and my wife, abused the daughter, and then killed the daughter. And because he was on a military base, he was sentenced to death in 2004. And his execution was pushed up and he was killed yesterday. December 11th. All right. So here, the question is, one, if you agree with the death penalty or not, that's a question. And two, should we as people, a society, decide who lives or who dies? Should the courts decide who lives or who dies? Should there even be a death penalty anymore? These are valid questions. Let's see here. We have up and coming past executions. So we want to look at Brandon Bernard, which was one of the most high profile. He was executed on the 10th. U.S. Supreme Court denied Brandon Bernard's appeal to stop his execution tonight at a federal prison in Indiana. So Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote a dissenting letter. She's been writing for these brothers. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to her. Seems to be the only one. I think 4 out of the 5 people that have been executed so far have all been black, or that have been executed have been black. So that just kind of shows you just how skewed this is, how skewed this can be. COVID-19 is, yeah. So, okay. So Brandon Bernard is scheduled to be executed, or was executed, more than 2 decades after the double murder that sent him to federal death row, even though he did not pull the trigger. Bernard was charged in connection, theirs was all in-laws, with connection with slaying of Todd and Stacey Bagley, 2 youth ministers who were carjacked, abducted, and shot to death in 1999 at Fort Hood Military Reservation in Central Texas. God bless their souls. A group of gang members got a ride from Todd Bagley, then pointed a gun at his head and forced him and Stacey into... What? No. A group of gang members got a ride from Todd Bagley, then pointed a gun at his head and forced him and Stacey into the trunk of their own car. After hours of driving around town trying to rob the couple, the ringleader, Christopher Villalva, shot the couple, killing Todd and knocking Stacey unconscious. Then Bernard lit the car on fire. Bernard's case had drawn attention from activists and celebrities like Kim K. West, The reality star turned criminal justice reformer took to Twitter to highlight what she called the unjust nature of his sentence, begged for clemency of the case. The Texas man was barely 18 at the time of the killings and wasn't present for most of the crime. By some measure, he was the least culpable of the 5 men involved. While Brandon did participate in the crime, his role was minor compared to what the other teens involved, two of whom are home from prison now. What? The planned execution also attracted the attention of the former prosecutor in the case and 5 of the 9 jurors from his trial, who all came forward to voice their newfound opposition to Bernard's death sentence in light of the evidence never presented at trial, as well as the better scientific understanding of a teenager's brain development. Executing Brandon would be a terrible stain on the nation's honor, ex-prosecutor Angela Moore wrote in the Indy Star. We rightly must reserve the death penalty for the worst of the worst, as if the nation would continue to impose execution as punishment. At trial, jurors heard misleading testimony about how Bernard would be a future danger if he was allowed to live, but they didn't hear important mitigating evidence about his terrible childhood or sense of remorse. The jury also did not hear the full truth regarding Brandon and his position in the youth gang. Bernard's legal team wrote this year in the clemency petition to help secure a death sentence against Brandon. The government argued that the teenage gang, which he belonged to, had no formal hierarchical structure, but Bernard nevertheless yearned to be a top dog within it. Bernard's prosecutor argued he was just as responsible as his accomplices and will continue to be a danger in prison. In fact, Bernard was a lowly member of the gang and had a clean disciplinary record during his years of incarceration. Though Bernard raised those concerns, many others over the course of the year of appeals, courts did not side with him. In fall 2020, weeks after executing Villalba, government announced the decision to set execution date for Bernard. The move came amid unprecedented rush to the death chamber as the Trump administration scheduled a spat of executions before turning the Justice Department over to Joe Biden, who, as a candidate for president, pledged to eliminate the federal death penalty. That sums it up. That right there sums it up. They are literally out here. They don't fuck facts. Excuse my language. Forget facts. Forget circumstances. Forget evidence. Forget common sense. Let's kill them. Kill them. Just kill them all. Kill them before we have to turn it over. They'll get to live. No, let's kill them. That's messed up. That is messed up. And that's an example of those all-in laws or those NGGA laws. Let's see here. Now this was another one. So Andre Villalba, bro, you did that. Let's see what's going on with Corey Johnson. Corey Johnson is upcoming. I can't click. Oh, maybe they haven't put Corey Johnson up yet, but okay. Lisa's probably gonna make it. So Lisa's story was Lisa's was a trip. Lisa, now I don't believe in the death penalty, but Lisa, it's funny they're not putting hers up here yet. Maybe they haven't written it yet. Lisa mentally messed up. She cut out a pregnant woman's baby while she was alive, like something out of like a ritual. So Lisa Lisa, now that's heinous. That's something you probably get the death penalty for. They said she was mentally inept, but Lisa pretty much like cut a pregnant woman's stomach open and pulled the baby out. Like I don't. There's no other way. That was a heinous murder. So there's nothing I can say about that. See, I can only talk about the ones that are crazy. So here's this other one. The other one I want to highlight is Dustin John Higgs. So let me try to find that, because basically Dustin John Higgs is innocent, and that's what's wild. Okay. So Dustin John Higgs, let's read this real quick. Dustin John Higgs is going to be executed for a crime he didn't commit. He was accused of killing 3 girls, but later found not to be guilty. All witnesses, including the man who actually killed the girls, confirms Dustin's innocence. How about that? The only reason he is still in jail is because they say he was at the scene of the crime and was accused of bullying Willis Hayes, who did commit the crime, into killing the 3 girls. But even Willis Hayes said that this is false. So please help me free this innocent man. Don't let what happened to Brandon Bernard happen again. So let's see a couple of different points of views on that, because they're saying that he's innocent. Dustin Higgs was convicted and sentenced to federal death penalty as accomplice of the 1996 murder of Tanji Jackson, Tamika Black, and Michelle Chin, and was the first federal death sentence handed down in Maryland in the modern era. Dustin was not the person who actually shot the 3 women and is pleading his innocence. In fact, it was Willis Hayes who pulled the trigger and was sentenced to life in prison plus 45 years after a separate jury spared him of the death penalty for the crime. With the resumption of federal executions in 2020, Dustin's life is at serious risk. So it's common knowledge he didn't kill these people, yet he's about to get, if Trump gets his way, and the Supreme Court better not down this appeal. He didn't even pull the trigger. He didn't even kill him. But if you leave it to Trump, and if the Supreme Court does not come to his aid, he's going to be killed. Innocent man going to be killed. That's wild. So I just wanted to bring this to you guys' attention. Trump is on, his Department of Justice is on the warpath. Since they know Biden, they're betting that Biden is going to come in here and save these people, just give them life in prison and maybe even re-examine their sentences. They said, screw it. While we're here, let's kill them. Let's kill them. And that's what they're doing. It's sick. Lets you kind of know what they're about. Again, a lot of these people, I mean, I didn't see one. They were all black, with the exception of Lisa Montgomery. They're all black. So yeah, just something to think about. This is Real Talk, Real People. As always, keep it real and stay safe. Stay safe out there.